Hey there, it's Debbie Lechusa, and I thought I'd do a little quick live video here. There's something I wanted to share with you, and I was writing a blog post about it, and I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to do this live on video instead. And that is, for any of you out there who are struggling to live inspired and follow inspiration, and what do I mean by that? I mean, it's listening to that little voice in your head, your gut, your intuition, your heart, whatever you want to call it. It's always talking to us. It's telling us, you know, what we need to do, and it's urging us to be our best self and live our best life. And I think a lot of times we tune that voice out. We let our head overrule our heart because it's easier sometimes. It's more comfortable. Let's face it, sometimes those inspired ideas really motivate us and inspire us to have to make a lot of change. And sometimes it's hard to do, and it's easier to just kind of push it away and ignore it and do what you want instead, or do what you're used to doing instead, I should say. Those habits, that comfortable feeling. So I wanted to fess up a little bit because I realized in the last few weeks that I've been ignoring that little voice in 3 areas of my life. And the reason I want to fess up about this and be totally transparent is because, guys, I have been following inspiration for over 10 years. And the truth is, it's not always easy, and I can do it easier in some areas of my life than others. And it's still a challenge for me sometimes, and I still wake up sometimes and realize that, oh dang, you're ignoring again, and it's not serving you. So real quick, 3 areas that I noticed over the weekend that I have made some changes in, and I'm already noticing a difference. And it's funny because they're in the 3 areas that are really primary areas of my life: pet therapy, my health, and my work. So pet therapy, there's a health and rehab center that we've been going to for about 6 months, and we were requested to go there, and they set up a time for us to go. And honestly, it's been a struggle since almost day one. I realized very quickly that one of my dogs, Hope, did not like it there. So rather than bailing on the visit, I said, well, I'll just take Faith instead. But it's been one thing after another over 6 months, and I'm just not feeling supported there, and I'm not feeling like it's a good fit for us. But I was ignoring that. I've been pushing it away for months and going out of obligation and guilt because I didn't want to let the few patients that look forward to seeing us there down. And I felt like I should be going there. So every Monday that rolled around that we were supposed to go on that visit, even though I felt like we need to let this go, I kept going. Last week, I decided to take my dog Hope one last time and just see if maybe it was a fluke. Maybe she just was off those first couple of visits, and maybe she really did like going there. And as soon as we walked in the door, I knew that was not the case. She looked at me with her deep brown eyes, and I knew what she was saying. It was like, Mom, I don't want to be here. Now, this is a dog who's super sensitive and loves doing pet therapy, but there's something about that venue that just doesn't sit well with her. So I tried to take her around and visit with a few people, but after about 20 minutes, I realized I got to honor my dog here. She knows what's good for her. She knows what she wants to do. She doesn't feel the obligation to be there like I did. And so we left. And the next morning, I called the facility and I said, we're not going to be able to keep visiting. I need to honor my dog, and it's not a good fit for her. And it's kind of funny because it's almost like I needed Hope to give me the out, when I knew that little voice was telling me this is not a good fit. And we've been turning down other pet therapy opportunities because our calendar was already full. I immediately felt relieved. And the funny thing was, when I called to say we can't visit anymore, it was basically the reception I got was, oh, okay, that's fine. So I was beating myself up and feeling guilty and not following that little inspired voice because I thought I was going to let them down. And honestly, it wasn't a big deal. The second area is in my health. So if you've read my book or followed my blog for a while, I don't talk a lot about it, but I've had a lot of issues. It started about 7 years ago with food sensitivities and leaky gut and some things like that, which I healed up pretty well a couple of years ago with the help of an integrative doctor. But I have to be very careful about what I eat because certain things set me off. And I'm really good with the big things that I know really bug me. But the things that are slight sensitivities, sometimes I kind of like ease off and I'll start eating them or drinking a glass of wine or maybe doing some of those things that maybe don't serve me. And I've realized that I've fallen off track, especially after we moved cross country and kind of got out of my routine. And I noticed that I wasn't feeling myself. I wasn't feeling well. I was getting that headache again. I was feeling kind of foggy and not great. And for probably the last couple months, that little voice has been telling me, you need to clean up your act. You know what it is. But, you know, some of those habits, like having a nice glass of wine out on my back deck in the evening, a couple nights a week, they're hard to break. It's enjoyable. It's something I love to do. And it's hard because I go to parties and things, and the people there seem to be able to eat or drink whatever they want, and it just doesn't feel fair. So I kept shushing that little voice, that little inspired voice that was telling me, if you want to feel 100% again, you need to let go of some of these things that you're eating and drinking, at least temporarily, until you get back on track. So I made a commitment, finally, last weekend, after I was just tired of feeling just a little bit crummy, not horrible, but just enough crummy that it was getting my attention. And I said, okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to be really diligent and be really good. And honestly, it's been about a week, and I already feel better. So I know this about myself. I know that little voice is right. I know it wants the best for me. And I know when I listen to it, things work out better. But I'm here to tell you, sometimes you just don't want to listen to what it has to say. I get it, you know, it's hard. And the third area is with my work. So when we relocated here to North Carolina, you know, my intention was to slow down and semi-retire, which I had already done, and just enjoy life and hike. But one of the things that kept happening, and especially after I finished my latest book and my online course, was I keep getting these inspired ideas to do more work. And I was making myself feel guilty about it. It's like, why are you wanting to work? You don't need to work. You know, you came here not to work. But there were things I wanted to do. They were inspiring. And I felt they would inspire other people. And I was kind of, again, shooting myself, saying, you shouldn't be working. You should be enjoying life. And over the weekend, I realized that is how I enjoy life. Why am I making myself feel guilty? I'm a creative person. I love creating things. I love sharing things. I love writing. And if that's what I want to do with my life, I should do it. And I should not make myself feel guilty about it and feel like I should be retired and out hiking every day. The reality is my husband's still working. And I'm never going to go back to that place where I am success-driven and working all the time to my own detriment. But I'm also not going to deny myself the fulfillment that I get when I write and I create courses and I create blogs and I do the stuff that is in my DNA. It's just who I am. So those are three areas I was shushing that little voice. I was ignoring that little voice. And even after 10 plus years of following inspiration, it still happens to me. And I want you to understand that it's going to happen. It's going to come up. If you're just starting on the inspired path and you're struggling with this, know that you're not alone. If you've been on the path for a while like me and you're bumping up against this stuff, again, know that you're not alone. It's a process. We are breaking habits we have spent our entire life creating, and we're also fighting against a society that shoulds us into a lot of things. So be patient with yourself, be gentle, and when you recognize that you're ignoring that little voice, and your heart is telling you to stop ignoring that you know better, just pay attention and try to listen and recognize that even if it's hard to break that habit or step out of that comfort zone again, that it will indeed serve you. It's going to take you where you need to go. You're going to feel better, and it's going to help you fulfill your mission here on earth and be happy and peaceful. So